This lesson in the SQL Fundamentals series looks at how to evaluate for an inexact match or to evaluate for a range of values. If you want to follow the examples presented here, you should log in to MEC SQL Server Management Studio. It's also important that you be familiar with concepts presented in some earlier lessons in this series. Sometimes the criterion in the where clause is not precise. For example, we want to list the students whose last name starts with a particular letter. To evaluate for this, we'll use the word like instead of the symbol equal, and we'll use a wildcard symbol to indicate anything else is acceptable, and that symbol will be the %sign. So let's take a look at the student team database, and let's list students whose last name starts with the letter A. To construct this SQL statement, we list the columns we want to display. In the from clause, we list the students table. In the where clause, we put the name of the column we'll evaluate and the word like, and then we add in quotes the letter A followed by the %sign. That means anything that starts with the letter A. So if we switch over to the MEC site in SQL Server Management Studio and execute that command, we see the results for that. So we see that we have Andrew Agassi, Carlos Alvarez, and Kenneth Alt. Let's look at a list of students whose last name starts with A or D. To construct this, we do our select clause, our from clause, and in the where clause we're going to check for like A or like D in the student last name. When we run that query, we'll see that we get A's and D's. I'll run that over here also in the MEC site, and we see the A's and the D's. How about a list of students whose team name ends with pros? So we know something that it ends with, but we're not sure how it begins. So we construct our query, listing our columns in the select clause, our table in the from clause, and when we get to the where clause, we'll say where team ID like and put the %sign before the text that we evaluate for. And we end up with students in the team IT pros. We might also want to evaluate based on a range of values, not just equal 3 or equal 20. So to look at a range of values, we might want to look at a list of employees with a salary between $25,000 and $45,000. We do this with reserved words between, and you list the starting value and list an ending value. The starting value and the ending value are included, so they're part of the range of values that you check for. Let's look at a list of evaluation item scores between 70 and 79. This is in the student team database. We construct our SQL clause, select asterisk, remember that gives us all columns, from and list the table name, where score between 70 and 79, and this is the result that we get. So we see we have a total of 13 rows. Not all of them are displayed here, but as we look here we can see that the values are falling within the range that we evaluated for. You can also use between and to evaluate for dates. In the AdventureWorks database, let's look at a list of employees hired between 1998 and 1999. The way we could do this is construct our SQL clause statement, list our columns, do the fully qualified table name, and then where hire date between, and notice the date format, year dash month as 2 digits dash day as 2 digits, and the ending range is the year 1999, December, the day is the 31st. And this is the result that we get if you run this in the at the MEC site. We get a total of 214 rows. You could scroll through and see that these are between 1998 and 1999. I'll pause for a second and run that query and show that to you in the SQL Server Management Studio. So I've run this query and we have the results that you saw in the slideshow, and if we scroll down we can do a visual check to see that the dates are between 1998 and 1999. Let's evaluate how many people were hired in 1998 and work in production. We'll construct this so that we do a count. We don't need to see detailed data from our fully qualified table name for employee, and we evaluate the hire date between 1998, the first day of January, and 1998, the last day of December. There are other ways to pull out the year in a particular date field, but this is one way that you could evaluate for an entire year. We add to that and job title like, and we look for anything that starts with production. And this is the result that we get, a total of 10. 10 people hired in 1998 that work in production. It would be a good idea to run a variation on this query like what you see here and do a visual check to make sure that the data is correct. So what we've covered in this presentation is the use of inexact matches in the where clause, using the word like and using the wildcard symbol %. We've also evaluated a range of values using between and.